Hello everyone! Lately I've been thinking that I should make a video about our opinion on Anglo-Nubian goats. Sorry if I squint, but we just have blinding sunlight. We get a lot of questions from friends, acquaintances, and in general about why we got Nubians and so on. Do we regret it? Are they expensive? The little shashlik is in our way. Shoo!
Shoo, shoo!
I'll get you some sticks now.
Shoo, 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 shoo!
Damn, you little rascal, damn.
Shoo, 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 shoo.
I said shoo. Little brat, damn it, Fig, you can't chase him away, damn it. Yeah, that's a lot. We get questions from acquaintances, friends, and anyone who visits. Everyone knows they're usually not cheap. There are killers, like, what's so special about them? Just long ears and all that. And so I'd like to briefly share my opinion about this breed of goats. Well, I'd like to tell you briefly first and then show you on our Nubians. Actually, I'll start by saying that at first we bought regular white goats, which are of the Saanen type. Well, these are just white goats without any papers, the usual kind that many people have in their yards and on their farms. Well, these are usually some kind of mixes, because Saanen goats also have pedigree cards, and for those who don't know, in the Russian Federation, only Saanen goats are considered purebred. So we have breeding cores, we have breeding farms, so you can actually buy a Saanen goat with pedigree documents. And in the Saanen type, it's just a white goat, and some people say it's Russian white, some say it's Bridonskaya, a mix, maybe some down, what's it called, well, I forgot the name, just a white mix. That's how it was. We had those at first, and someone gave us a buck, also a mix, some kind of Alpine. Actually, I got interested in goat milk before because I've had a bad stomach since childhood, since my teenage years, and all the doctors recommend drinking goat milk. Maybe I just met those kinds of doctors. My grandmother was a doctor and said the same thing. I tried buying milk at the market, but it was awful. So when we moved to the village, we immediately got goats. They were really quite ugly, of course. One goat lost her pregnancy within a week. I mean, she had a false pregnancy and she lost it. And it got even scarier. So what am I getting at? Why did we get Nubian goats? Well, because the milk from the white goats we bought was impossible to drink. Unfortunately. Many people say that Nubian goat milk is no different from the milk of other goats. Well, for example, on our farm we didn't have any purebred small Cameroonian goats or purebred Alpine goats. We had local goats, we had white ones of the Saanen and Russian types, and they gave milk with a rich flavor. You know, I call it a goatee flavor. I mean, it didn't have a smell, it basically wasn't salty, but when you swallow the milk, there's this aftertaste. It's unpleasant, I can't even explain it. Not exactly tart, just, I don't know. And they ate just like the goats we have now, maybe a little less grain, because we gave them very little. Otherwise, they ate plants and grass. They grazed, and I gave them a full range of vitamins, just like all the other animals, and they ate premixes, good hay, basically everything they wanted and so on, but the milk still wasn't tasty. I didn't stop when Sasha... When Sasha didn't really care that much, kind of, but he kept drinking and drinking, I just really couldn't drink it. And then we started making cheese and cottage cheese, condensed milk to be honest, and the products had an aftertaste, like the cheeses turned out, we made them, and Meretinsky, Suluguni, all sorts of those, and cottage cheese, and all these products had an aftertaste. Goaty, I don't know how to explain it, that's just how it was. Maybe all our goats just had such bad tasting milk, but nothing really changed for us, let's say. Now we have Nubian goats, which, by the way, have disappeared. You didn't go?
No, is there food there?
Yes. Well, in general, if you want to write that you need to feed goats properly and so on, you need to give them this and that, and then the taste will change. Dear friends, we did everything to change the taste, but it didn't change. And our goats, which are now Nubian and give delicious milk or milk that I like, don't get anything special. They eat exactly the same things as those regular goats with milk that has an aftertaste. So it's again grass, hay, vegetables, concentrates, grain, fruits, premixes and so on. And vitamins on schedule, that's all. And I started to wonder about this, reading forums, watching YouTube channels and thinking about what to do because I need to drink goat milk. Cow's milk makes me feel sick. So keeping a cow just to make cheese or cottage cheese doesn't work for me because I drink fresh milk and cow's milk makes me feel sick. So basically I need goat's milk, but look, I can't drink goat's milk because it tastes awful. I just can't. It's already starting to annoy me. And so I came across the fact that there are apparently Nubian goats with creamy sweet milk. That you can buy them? Editor, and that's how our acquaintance began. I searched through groups, looked for some local people. We didn't find anyone here, even though it seems like there is someone in the city. So I met a woman named Galina online. Now we're friends, and I decided that I would go to her to get my first little goats. Now we'll show them to you. We lost track of them. Where did the goats go, darn it?
Kazanskaya.
Where are they? You said they're here.
Useful.
Damn, they left again. I don't know where. Damn. How am I supposed to sit on the chair if I can't see anyone?
There they are, over there.
They'll probably get scared now.
Come on, look for them. Go on. You found us goats. Look for them. Where are the goats?
So now I'll show you the goats we bought from Galina. She sold them to us. She sold them to us for a good price. They were day-old, week-old, I think, baby goats. Well, because milking goats are expensive. These two baby goats are still very young. One got pregnant early, the other at a normal time. Here's one, Rosa, who's pregnant. Romashka is shedding now. She already gave birth. And here's the third goat, Polina, who is always unlucky. Something is always wrong with her. She's 1 year old now. These were the first goats we bought, Nubian goats. Well, let's continue now. So at first we bought little ones, and our local non-pedigree regular goats started feeding them. They grew, of course, slowly. Then they grew up a little, well, just a little, just a couple of months. I thought we needed to buy a buck, so we bought a buck. When we bought the does, they were 75% and Polina was 87.5%. The buck we bought was 100%. With Nubians, just like with all animals, including cows, we have pedigree breeding here in Russia. Most often it's Holsteinization, and the percentage is indicated there as well. It's the same with Nubians, and so you always need to have a buck, or for example a bull. I'm drawing an analogy with cows. That is 100%. If the buck has a lower percentage, then it's not considered breeding. For genetics, for improving the offspring, for increasing the percentage, the buck must be 100%. It's like when cows are Holsteinized, the bull must also be a Holstein. Exactly, not lower. If you take less than 100%, people already do what they want, but it really should be 100%. So a 100% buck is paired with a doe. Let's say I pair a 75% with a 100%. This sum is combined and divided in half, and you get 87.5%. That's it. So the kids that are born from a 75% dew and a 100% buck, that's an 87.5% kid. So who looks at the percentages? Well, that's just how it turns out. So the goat has to be lower. Oh, the goat ends up lower and the male goat is higher. There, if you see a little flower, then between these percentages, so they can be 50, 75, 87.5, then I think 90. 91.5 if there are any between 40, 30, 20, 60%, 81, 71. That's already a mix. I don't know where they come from or how they're made. This is a goat, though it's unclear what percentage is goat or where the numbers come from. There should be a clearer division. I'm not making this up. I read about it there, about breeding goats and so on, about Nubians. So it's not as developed here, but abroad it's really developed. So where was I? Oh, right, on the percentages. Well, anyway, the percentages, it's all clear, it's all nonsense. Well, about the hotels, I'm making this comparison because not everyone has a goat. And someone might just say that this is all nonsense, it's rubbish, heresy. What are you doing? Why are you doing this? What heresy? If there's a tribe, there are animal records or a map. In Russia, at least here in Zaninska, goats are pedigree. I'm not sure about Belarus or Ukraine. Then we have official pedigree work in the country for Holsteinization of cattle. That is, they take and Holsteinize, they graft these Holsteins into the cows, and as a result they get large, high-yielding cows. Well, of course there are a few problems, but that's not the point. Selective breeding occurs everywhere, and that's what the percentages represent. It's done because breeding improves as a result. Where did I start from? Again with S. Anyway, let's continue. Why did we get it? Well, I already said, because I read on the internet that the milk is tasty. I'll be brief. So our goats grew up, then we got more adult goats, Nubian, percentage ones. As a result, now we have only one purebred female, Bella. She's growing. Here she is. Well, that's because we don't have, let's say, enough finances to buy them all at once. Overall, I don't regret it at all. The milk is excellent. I recommend everyone buy it. Nubians, because, well, or some people say that Alpines also have tasty milk. I don't have Alpines, and as for the local ones that are just around the yards, I don't count them. I think you should get good percentage or purebred Alpines, which also cost no less than Nubians. We're talking about 20,000 to 30,000 and more. The milk is very tasty. I recommend it to everyone. It's sweet, it's rich, and it suits my body perfectly. I can drink it fresh or I can drink it straight from the fridge. None of our cheese, cottage cheese, or any dairy products at all, like yogurts, have any aftertaste. That goat taste, I don't know how to explain it, but there are no strange smells or flavors. I remember when I first tried Nubian goat milk from my own goats, I was just standing there smacking my lips and tasting it. I kept thinking, where is that aftertaste going to show up? And I was going to be terribly disappointed, but I wasn't disappointed at all. I want to breed Nubian goats because they're just incredible. The milk is really delicious. That's the main advantage. That's the main reason we got them for the milk. Because I need goat milk, I can't tolerate cow's milk, and goat milk is delicious. Only at NU Beitsevs. As for me, well, that's all I know about it. Here we can show you one of our goats. Here she is. So, she's not 100%, she's 50%, meaning her father is 100% and her mother is any breed. We don't know what breed her mother is. We got her in our farm through a cheap exchange. We gave them a little ram and they gave us the goat. She was dehorned and her head was a little injured there, but we didn't regret it. The milk tastes great, even with 50% goats, we noticed that. 4? You see, yes, she gives 4 liters minus 100 grams, so that's about 3,850 or 3,900, and that's considering she's eating hay. And we've only been grazing on grass for about 5 days, but we graze for about an hour and a half. That's it. Her udder, of course, is attached in a pretty average way. Well, the fact is, she's a good milker. Some people even call her a killer. They claim she won't give over a liter, but she gives 4 liters and may give even more. She's only had her second kidding, and that's just 50%. And my goats are some of the cheapest. I mean, not expensive. We can't afford really purebred, very expensive ones. I looked at the ads, and some goats are really expensive, and their udders are just huge. Like, they probably give 6 liters, their udders are like this. Huge udders, really massive. But excuse me, it costs more than just 1 ram or 2,000. They cost from 100,000 rubles. That's it. Some people ask why you need such expensive goats and why you buy them for $20,000 or $30,000. Well, come on, guys, you know, like, there are dogs, there are mutts, and then there's an alibi, I don't know, there's a mutt, chihuahua. So basically, everyone does what they want. Let's not argue about this, because I don't want to get into a conflict. Some people want a yard dog or a goat, and others want a more purebred one for their own reasons. I think this applies to all animals. Cows are the same way. There are regular black and white, red and white ginger cows, and then there are Ayrshires, Swedish cows, Holsteins, and so on. Here's another, and here's our pure goat. By the way, their ears differ. The lower the percentage, the harder their ears lie flat. This one is ours. Let me catch her now. Enough, Kodja. Kodja, come here, Bella. Ears. Oh, this is a strange one. I'll catch her, but I won't be able to lift her. Subtitles by Dima Torzak. Well, now she just doesn't want to, basically. So this is our 100% little goat. Subtitles, voiceover. Also, I wanted to mention the ears. There are many questions about them. There are a lot of ads now where Nubians have very long ears, like this wide, long ears like that. Or, for example, someone might say, oh, your Nubian has ears that are too short. Right now? There are also a few, well, Arab or I think Israeli, I'm not sure where these mixes are from, Indian or African. In general, there are a lot of different mixes. There are also goats with long ears, betals, these, oh my, what are they all called? Well, it doesn't really matter. There are a lot of different Indian mixes, African ones with long ears, even longer ones. And they don't look like Nubians, they're bigger. They have a different build. In the name. By the way, here comes our goat. Here he is. You always have to look at a goat's equipment, because whatever equipment the goat has, that's what his girls will inherit in their names. This applies to everyone, and cows too, of course. But since cows are often artificially inseminated, people often don't pay attention to this. Here? Well, damn, right now here, you see, I don't. Alright, that's it. Okay, damn, don't look at me like that. Here. By the way, I also want to say that Nubian goats are very large and very temperamental compared to the ones we used to have. We used to have some lazy ones, and Caesar is actually very calm, but also temperamental, very much so. That's why, if anything, we raised him, so to speak, with a stick since he was little, and now he's afraid of the stick and doesn't show any aggression towards us. But you still need to be careful. He's about to turn 1 year old and he's going to get even bigger. And, you know, some things online can really hurt you. The most important thing is there are no horns. And Ubitsev has a lot of different lines of ears. Everyone is different. Some have shorter ones, some have longer ones, some are wider, some are narrower, some are leaf-shaped, more square. But it all depends on the line. For example, in Germany, there are some from Australia, all sorts of German lines. In general, it depends on where they were brought from. And that's why the ears are a little different. But ears like these can't be fully purebred. For example, this kid is 75%. So you need to understand that the ears are short, the cartilage isn't set, and the ears don't even hang below the chin. So don't be fooled by short ears. You can't really judge by the ears alone. They're all different. When Caesar arrived here, his ears were more square-shaped. We'll insert a photo to show what kind of ears he had. As for Bella, I don't know if you'll be able to see what her ears are like in the video. Hers are more leaf-shaped and a little bit shorter. But with her, we have documents and know her. We've seen her parents. Everything is fine with her. So guys, don't judge by the ears. If they're long, it might be some kind of mix, like with bettles or others, and then you won't have a pure Nubian. Other mixed breeds have completely different physiology, a different udder shape. They are bigger, longer, or their backs are more sunken like lordosis. Some people like those animals, but I prefer Nubians. We won't choose them just for their long ears. So in general, I started talking again about the advantages, so that's what I'm going to talk about. Milk, I already mentioned. Another advantage, they have a good friendly temperament. They are very affectionate towards people. Hey! They are affectionate towards people, very sociable, not timid. They are very affectionate towards people. That's really appealing. By the way, where do we have other breeds here from? Well, we just keep the goats too, and if they give good milk, we'll just mix them with the Nubians and keep them, well, with a Nubian buck. What other advantages are there? I mentioned milk production, taste, and a good yield of meat. Of course, Nubians are always larger. They pass on large offspring to their kids, and our buck is big and meaty. And he maintains his weight. His neck is really strong, but I'm not saying this is the only large breed. Real Iguanans are also not small, but they pass it on too. So we're talking about Nubians right now, and we like that he passes this on to his kids. This largeness, and they will gain weight quickly. What else? Advantages. I might forget. I could have already forgotten during all this time. I think I already forgot what I said. What the advantages are. Even the disadvantages. What Nubian ones? Well, the disadvantages can be excessive. They're temperamental. I mean, they can have loud voices. Some people can't tolerate that. I've seen it mentioned on forums and heard from acquaintances. Some Nubian goats and bucks scream very loudly, and it's a piercing scream. Our Caesar has grown up now. Apparently, he's become a real man, and he's stopped screaming like that. Our goats haven't gone out to pasture yet, but we'll leave him with the wethers so he won't scream. And last year, when we left him alone, he screamed so loudly that in the neighboring village, our neighboring village is Polkino. I was riding a horse to Polkino and I could hear our goat screaming. By the way, Polkino is about 2 kilometers from our village. Well, maybe a kilometer. He was screaming so loudly and hysterically that I could hear him. That's how loud they can be. So, if your nerves are a little unstable and that kind of thing irritates you, it's better to get other animals that will stay quiet. For example, we have an Alpine crossbreed and she's quiet all the time. She hardly ever makes a sound, but honestly, it doesn't really bother me. Once every couple of months, I might have gotten a little hysterical too, started yelling or shouting, maybe even yelled, "Shut up," but that's about it. Right now they're quiet. And when they eat in the morning, they're quiet. If they see me and they're hungry, they'll all start bleating. If one goat gets lost, she'll bleat too. But we don't have any of those really loud, desperate cries. Maybe it's because we have a big herd now, not like it was in the beginning. There are 2 goats and 1 billy goat, and they live separately. There are a lot of them. They've become friends with each other. They've kind of adapted. We don't have any really loud screamers, but in the beginning they used to cry out. The main thing is, as I read and people wrote to me and I talked to them, some people indulge them. So these goats, I think, are too adapted to people. They're so gentle and sensitive. Since I have experience with horses and I acted just like I do with horses, I didn't pay attention. For example, if a horse is freaking out, running around the pasture looking for its herd, you need to ignore it and leave it alone. So don't fuss over it, don't run after the horse, and it will calm down and get used to it. I did the same thing with the goats when they were screaming too much, running after me just too much. when there's an electric fence and other things and they're still freaking out, screaming their heads off, I would just take a stick, I remember, and just smack them on the butt just so they'd run away from me. And I would leave, close the gate, and hear them screaming hysterically like they were being killed. After about 3 or 4 days, they stopped screaming. They just calmly went about their business. That was my experience, and now I don't have any hysterics in the herd, and that's the downside. I can also mention another myth that bucks don't smell. Our buck didn't smell, and yes, until recently now he has started to smell, but I wouldn't say he smells very bad. When he starts to show his, how should I say, erotic tendencies, he starts practicing, he puts everything on his head and starts entertaining himself. I'm not sure if anyone has seen this before. Basically, when he starts having erotic urges, he smells really strong. These urges stop, like right now they've stopped, and he doesn't smell as strong anymore. But again, if you compare how male goats smell, like the local white ones from Minsk, well, they smell really strong. When the neighboring white male goat came over, it stank for about 20 minutes so badly that, as Russians say, you could carry the saints out of the room. He just doesn't smell that bad. When he starts his, erotic stuff, then yes, there is a smell. So until the very end, I thought and read and fooled myself that they don't smell at all. They don't smell. It used to be about fashion, now it's about kids. He made erotica, started his own pornography, and everyone is scratching their own smells. That's how he scratches. By doing so, he spreads his pheromones, because male goats have special glands between their ears, a little behind on the back of the head. All male goats have them, which spread those specific smells. And that's exactly the spot where he produces his erotic fluids. And right now, as I understand it, that's what he's doing, spreading those fluids, those pheromones, so that all the females around will be his. That's how it is, so don't be fooled by appearances. Some male goats smell stronger, some just a little, like a sweet musk, but it's never that they don't smell at all. Well, as they say, if there's no smell, there are no kids, no wedding, no sex, there has to be a smell. And when he has kids, little ones, then, sorry, nothing will happen without it. That's how we understood it, even though at first we were mistaken. We thought, well, that's it, that's all. What other downsides are there? Here's another 100 minus. Well, I can't really say it's a downside. Their cost... You've changed the average. Alpine goats cost just as much as Nubians, if not more. So these aren't just some local tomatoes from Aunt Shura or Aunt Larissa from next door. There aren't just goats from villages that look like Alpines or Sanens in color, but actual goats that are, for example, Sanens. White ones with papers and lactation over 5 liters a day and so on. And the Alpines also have the same qualities with good breeding papers. They cost just as much as the Nubians. So to say that this is a disadvantage in terms of cost, guys, I don't know. I can't say that. Thank you. By the way, I almost forgot to mention the most important thing at the end. This is the main question. Do Nubians get cold in the central region? The central region means that in winter, our average temperature reaches -17, -20, and the lowest temperature can be as low as -32. So isn't it too cold, and do they have any illnesses because of that? They say that Nubians are a bit weak, but I want to say yes, thank you. I think that pure-blooded Nubians have a weaker immune system. I've experienced this myself, and people have come to me about it. Yes, pure-blooded Nubians are a bit weak. You need to support them. I buy Hemobalance and give it to them. So Bella also arrived here and started coughing. For some reason, a lot of people I know lost their baby goats to rhino pneumonia, or maybe just aspiration pneumonia after birth, I'm not sure. So there's the coughing, vitamin deficiency, and with Caesar it's always something, one thing or another. Sometimes he has a bump on his wrist, sometimes he limps, or something else happens. I can say yes, that's how it is for me. I really think they're quite weak. You just need to keep an eye on them, give them hemobalance and some other metabolic support medications. Of course, not Homovid, but some other vitamins. What else do I want to say? We made it through the winter. Most of our goats are crossbreeds. So for those who want to try their milk, I recommend buying crossbred goats. 50, 75, 80, 75, even 90%. They handle the winter very well. They have an undercoat and we don't bother with things like putting blankets on them. Our goats just smoothly transition from summer to fall and from fall to winter. So basically everything is fine. They walk outside, run around and eat hay. If someone is shivering, I would bring them inside for a while or put a little blanket on them for a while or give them some warm water for a while, but that's only temporary. As soon as the undercoat appeared and so on, we stopped giving warm water. That's how it was. Well, for example, our goat survived the winter perfectly. 100% he didn't have an undercoat, but he had very thick fur, so there was no need to put anything on him. He grew a thick coat and now has shed it. Now we have a 100% goat, and we'll see how she gets through the winter, because the other percentage goats did perfectly. No one was cold or anything. We'll see about the 100% one. Maybe she'll also grow a thick coat, or maybe she'll need some extra care, like being gradually introduced to winter or wearing a blanket. Maybe it's because she's a purebred. Well, what I want to say is that I don't really spoil the goats that much. I try to make sure they have a smooth transition from, winter to summer and from summer to winter. I try to support them with vitamins and other things. I want it to be more natural for them so their bodies can handle shedding, minor illnesses and so on their own. Maybe that's why our goats never froze. I mean, I didn't coddle them. If it started to rain a little, we would quickly bring them inside. Or if it was -1, we would hurry to lock them all up just in case. What if they got sick? We don't do that. So it's necessary for the animals to be resistant to the cold, which means you need to leave them outside when it gets cold so they get used to it. That's it. Basically, I've talked so much that everything's already there and we don't have any memory left. I enjoy discussing topics like this and hope this video helps someone. I want to say that I only talked about what I know myself, meaning what we had on our farm, what I read from some official sources. What happens with us is purely my own opinion and so on. That's it. Thank you. I hope you like our little goats. Bye, everyone.